What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, it seems that, someone in my comments mentioned it the other day, and I didn't look into it. Now it's coming through that the senior director of mergers at the CMA used to work for Sony. Used to work for Sony's law firm. And now he's deciding on this Activision Blizzard deal. I'm like, remember when I said it smells fishy, smells like corruption. So there must be some corruption. I mean, look, I'm not a conspiratorial type of guy. I'm not a conspiratorial type of guy. But it didn't make sense. Now it makes sense. Nepotism, corruption. That's what it is. It's like, oh yeah, remember we still boys, yo, hook us up. It's like, I got you. We'll throw some bogus thing. Like I said before, it's just a delay tactic. And I believe, I think Tom Warren broke the story or whatever, but it was on his tweet that I read it. And somebody else at the CMA used to or does work for, I'm like, yo, what, really? This is what's going on. Did y'all not think that this would come out? Because, LinkedIn and all that stuff, it's not like you could hide what you've done in the past. I mean, what he's done in the past isn't anything nefarious. It's just he used to work for the one entity that is solely against this. And Google, Sony and Google, former employee or something. I don't know. It all smells of corruption to me. And I'm like, how is this even, I mean, shouldn't he, as the CMA director of mergers, say there's a conflict of interest because Sony wants this not to go through, and I used to work for Sony, so I'm gonna have to step aside, and the next person in line, you handle that. But I guess it's an independent entity, the CMA. It's not governmental, it's an independent. So they can do whatever they want. They're not governed by anyone, right? I mean, they're all laws, obviously, but they're not sanctioned or governed by the government per se. So being independent, they could have their nepotisms all day long. I guess that's how that works, right? I'm sure that is how that works. I had a big ass smudge on my. Anyway, it's kind of sickening because it's not just about video games. I mean, in this instance, it is. In the broader sense, it's about business. And this happens in all types of businesses, in all types of fields, in all types of, nooks and crannies of our society. And in some instances, it's harmless. You're talking about, oh, well, I'm gonna hire my sister at my law firm because she's my sister and she's good too, and she's my sister. So that's how that works. And when you're doing that and it's private practice and it has no consequence or stake on, let's say, a bigger group of public people who have nothing to do with your nepotistic circle. I don't even know if that's a word, nepotistic. It sounded like a word, didn't it? Then, it's like the Activision Blizzard deal. There are tens of thousands of people. I think they're probably bigger than that, but who are in limbo right now because they're trying to unionize. They're trying to get all these things. They're trying to get better working conditions, and under Microsoft, they would have that. Under the status quo, they're gonna have problems because Bobby Kotick's like, nah, B, we gonna bust up all your unions, son. He don't care too much about unions. But Microsoft, they're like, we gonna let it fly. If it's fair, it's fair. And that's all good because some companies do treat their employees better. You say capitalism is evil as a broad stroke, but when you use the examples that illustrate your narrative, well, sure, you're gonna say, yeah, capitalism is evils. Because look at this, look at that. Workers are suffering, crunch, and all that stuff. But then there are a few companies out there who actually treat their employees right. and the employees are happy to work. And some of them work overtime because they want more money. And it's not called crunch. It's just overtime. I mean, that's literally what you call it crunch. I have to work overtime sometimes too. I remember one day I worked 16 hours. I was really tired that day. I didn't call it crunch. Anyway, video games. It's like I said, it bleeds, for me, it bleeds over to the real world. I mean, video games is the real world, but it bleeds over to not video games. And it makes me, it awakens, it doesn't awaken. It just reminds me of all the BS that is around. And when I'm dealing with video games, the whole purpose of video games for most people is it's escapist. It's an escapism. It's escapist. It's an escape. Words. From the real world. Now, some people are like, oh, I'm a cop, and then I'm gonna go play Grand Theft Auto and be a robber. Sure. I mean, whatever helps the person unplug for the day or whatever, you know? Even though you're literally plugging into an Xbox or Switch or that other console, whatever it's called. And, you know, it's very disconcerting. That's not the word either. I didn't even say it right. It's very troubling to have this information come out now. Like, say if that information was out before like Sony started crying, before all these things, right? You say, oh, the senior director of mergers at the CMA used to work for Sony's law division, law group. It's like, oh, there might be a conflict of interest. Do you think that they would have gone as far as they have gone, blocking the deal, if the public, everyone knew that this person was basically a Sony shill or worked for Sony? You know, it takes a different spin. It puts different eyes on the whole thing. You're like, it's suspicious. But anyway, you know, this is what we're dealing with. I mean, hopefully justice will prevail and the deal will go through and Sony will just have to get better, get good, Sony. I mean, your 2023 PlayStation Showcase, wow. I mean, wow. It wasn't good. It was so bad that all the ponies are mad, sad. Some of them are dads, so I guess it's fitting. But I was looking at IGN, watching IGN. I was watching the Next Gen Console Watch or whatever it's called, or Damon Hatfield's hosting, and then it was Ryan McCaffrey on the Xbox side and Max Scoville on the PlayStation side. Now I like Max Scoville. Max Scoville's a cool dude. He's funny, and he had the task of trying to pretend that showcase was anything but mid. And he didn't do a good job. And I can see why a lot of people out here on the internet are kind of looking at IGN real funny, because they're giving them all these kind of high praises for the like 8 and 9, like Tech Radar, or was it Radar? Tech Radar? Game Radar. Super ponies over there, and they're like, oh, it was great. It's like, no. Most of the internet, there's like IGN and this Gamers Radar who actually liked it, but everybody else was like, nope. Even the hardcore fans, the ponies and the donkey unicorns, for real, donkey unicorns, they're just like, nah, this ain't it. Even Porter Rock and J-Dub was on the Iron Lords podcast live, and he had to like be like, he was looking sad walking simulator dad. Man, it was bad. I was like, I don't necessarily, I mean, I watched Oh No, It's Alex's video, and he went through a lot of the before and after type of things. And he's gonna do a live stream, or he might be doing it today, or I can't remember what day. But, you know, I don't want to do that. Because A, that means I have to do all the receipts, and you know, there's plenty of people out there getting receipts and doing that content, and maybe one day I'll dip into that, but I'm more about the larger picture and the behind the scenes stuff, which is interesting, and then the artistic stuff as well, you know, looking at art design and stuff like that for these games. You know, different aspects that people really aren't talking about, especially in the console war. We can do a whole thing about art design in games as far as Nintendo versus Xbox versus Sony. And there is a difference. There's a trend on each of the platforms. You know, you have to pay attention to these things. I'm not going into it now, but it's interesting. But anyway, you know, let me know in the comments below about this whole CMA dude who used to work for Sony Law Group. Now he's the head of CMA. I wonder why they didn't pass it and all that stuff. Man, shoot. Update on the song. Still working on the song. I've been a little bit slow because I get back into the, you know, going back to work and it's like, brr. But I got my computer up and running. Well, it was still up and running, but I got my M box working. That was the main thing because I couldn't really do vocals until I got my M box working. I got it working on my new computer. It's an old M box. It's probably 15 years old, but at this point, M box 2. So that's good. I had to dig around the internet for the drivers, but I got it working, and so now I can do my vocals, and pretty happy about that. So I can finish the actual track, and I have to figure out the SFX for the actual video portion, they're pretty much both halfway done. I think the song is more done than the actual video itself, but there's still some work. I haven't forgotten, and I know I said I can't do it while I'm there and up in Georgia and stuff like that. I'm sorry, but I'm still working on it, and I won't release it until it's done. But I'm not gonna just forget about it. I'm definitely gonna release it because I like the song. So. And I want to try to release more music as well. So, but that's just a little update. But anyway, I appreciate y'all hanging out. This is my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. And yeah, hit me up in the comments. Let me know if this whole CMA shenanigans BS is I don't know. Is it right? I don't think it's right. It's weird. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all later on the next one. Tilt the way.